Donahue?
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach? Present. Mark Berry, absent. Tim Penich?
Present.
Ann Hill?
Present.
And Andy Duran.
Present. We have a quorum, so we can begin. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And item number 4 is reading of the mission, vision, and values for Lake Bluff School District 65. Would anybody like to take that on tonight?
I'll do it.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you. To provide each student with quality instruction, learning opportunities, and educational environments that inspire academic achievement, personal growth, and responsible citizenship, excellence in education, enthusiasm for life, every student, every day.
Thank you, Carrie. Moving on to public comment. So at every Board of Ed meeting, we offer 2 opportunities for members of the public to address the board. So if anyone's in the room tonight would like to address the board, now would be one time to do so. Not seeing anybody. Okay. No one at home? Okay. We'll have another chance later. So this meeting is going to be a little bit different, as this is going to also serve as our reorganization meeting. So we're going to do a few new things, so please bear with us if you're watching from home. Item number 6 is canvass of the school board election. Item 6A is to accept and approve the abstract of votes from the April 2023 election. I move that the Board of Education of Lake Bluff School District 65 accept the results of the election held in Lake Bluff School District number 65 in the County of Lake and State of Illinois on April 4, 2023, and that the following persons received the number of votes opposite their respective names for the office of Board of Education member for a 4-year term. Lane Bennett, 673 votes. Laura Breakstone, 1,024 votes. Andy Duran, 1,121 votes, and Ann Hill, 1,169 votes. Therefore, the Board of Education formally declares that Laura Breakstone, Andy Duran, and Ann Hill have each been elected to serve as members of the Board of Education for a 4-year term. May I have a motion to accept and approve the abstract of votes from the April 4th, 2023 election?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I think we should do a roll call for this one.
Yep. Lauren Hirsch.
Yes.
Amy Connell Donahue.
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes. Tim Penich.
Yes.
Ann Hill.
Yes.
Andy Duran.
Yes. Okay, that passes. Congratulations, Ann and Laura.
And you.
All right, now that that has passed, item 6B is oath of office for elected school board members. So if Laura, Ann, and I, and any board members wishing to renew their oath of office will stand, raise our right hands, and read the oath of office in unison. So Laura, do you have that?
You can come stand.
Yeah.
It's on
You
board.
have a copy? Okay. Does she come up here with us?
Come on up.
Yeah.
You want to look off my, I've got on here too.
Bigger?
Everyone have it?
Oh yeah, okay.
Also read and start you guys off.
Raise our right hands.
6 feet. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I, Andy Duran, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education, Lake Bluff School District, in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion of my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board, while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Lake Bluff School District. I shall assist in establishing structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision for Lake Bluff School District. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. We didn't even practice. All right. So item 6C is appointment of President Pro Tem, Vice President Pro Tem, and Secretary Pro Tem for reorganization meeting. So I will start. May I have a motion to suggest a President Pro Tem, Vice President Pro Tem, and Secretary Pro Tem?
So moved.
I move that Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education approve Andy Durand as President Pro Tem, Ann Hill as Vice President Pro Tem, and Carrie Steinbeck as Secretary Pro Tem of the Board of Education.
Thank you, Tim. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Carrie, roll call, please.
All right, Amy Connell Donahue,
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes. Lauren Hirsch?
Yes.
Andy Duran?
Yes.
Ann Hill?
Yes.
Tim Penich?
Yes.
And Laura Breakstone?
Yes.
This is actually still Mark at this point.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Mark.
Mark there. One more minute, Laura. Yep. I know it's a little clunky.
But thank
Yep.
you.
Great. But it's good practice. Okay. So now 6D, we will adjourn Sine DA. May I have a motion for the current school board to adjourn Sine DA at 7:07 p.m.?
So moved.
Second?
Carrie, roll call, please.
Sure, Tim Penich?
Yes.
Ann Hill?
Yes.
Lauren Hirsch?
Yes.
Amy Connell Donahue?
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes. Andy Duran?
Yes.
Mark Berry. No.
And Mark Berry's absent, so that motion passes. Okay, so now that we have adjourned,
Do we have to leave and come back?
No.
now Laura, you're already up joining us.
You
We're good.
definitely
And
did that now.
you will have a regular name tag at some point. It's not going to stay new
I
forever.
like the white.
We like the
And I
white
like
too,
it
but
yeah.
we want you to match.
Not in the budget item. Earlier, we were gonna say that.
So now we're moving on to our reorganization meeting agenda. So now let me call the meeting of the new school board called to order. So welcome to the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education meeting. I'd like to call this meeting, this reorganization meeting, to order at 7:08 p.m. Carrie, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure, Carrie Steinbach here. Tim Penich?
Here.
Amy Connell Donahue?
Here.
Andy Duran?
Here.
Ann Hill?
Here.
Lauren Breakstone? Laura? Lauren Hirsch?
Here.
That's not gonna fly, so
Yeah, we're gonna-
I will rarely put you guys next to each other in my mouth, sorry.
All right, so we are all present with the new board seated. So item 7B is to request declarations of board office intent. Board members wishing a particular board office who have not previously declared interest shall state such at this time. Okay, then we'll move on to board officer elections. First one being nomination and election of president.
I move that the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education nominate Andy Duran as President of the Board of Education. May I have a motion to elect Andy Duran as President of the Board of Education?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Carrie, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure, Tim Penich?
Yes.
Amy Connell Donahue?
Yes.
Andy Duran?
Yes.
Ann Hill?
Yes.
Laura Breakstone?
Yes.
Lauren Hirsch?
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes.
Congratulations.
All right, motion passes. Andy Duran will remain the Board of Education President. Thank you, Andy.
Next is nomination and election of vice president, so I'll return the favor. I move that the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education nominate Ann Hill as vice president of the Board of Education. So may I have a motion to elect Ann Hill as vice president of the Board of Ed?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Okay, Carrie, roll call, please.
Sure, Amy Connell Donahue?
Yes.
Andy Duran?
Yes.
Ann Hill?
Yes.
Laura Breakstone?
Yes.
Lauren Hirsch?
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes. And Tim Penich?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Ann Hill will remain the Board of Education vice president. Congratulations. Next up is item 7C3, nomination and election of secretary. I move the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education nominate Carrie Steinbach as the secretary of the Board of Ed.
So moved.
May I have a motion to elect Carrie Steinbach? Great. So Lauren has the motion. Who's second?
I'll second.
Great. Carrie, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure, Andy Duran?
Yes.
Ann Hill?
Yes.
Lauren Hirsch?
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes. Tim Penich?
Yes.
Amy Connell Donahue?
Yes.
And Laura Breakstone?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Carrie Steinbach will remain Board of Education Secretary. Where's the nervous? No coup there, Carrie.
That was scary.
All right, 7D is appointment of the IASB representative. We as a board need to decide who should serve as our IASB representative, but we don't necessarily have to decide that tonight, although it would be great if we could.
Who is it now?
So it was Mark. So Mark has vacated the board. So at the local board level, every member district has the opportunity to appoint an IASB governing board representative. This individual serves as the primary liaison between his or her local board of education and the association. Governing board representative receives meeting notices, newsletters, and other correspondence from IASB. He or she encourages fellow board members to attend division dinner meetings and other IASB-sponsored events. A governing board representative is generally the board member who represents the board at the delegate assembly held each November during the joint annual conference in Chicago. The delegate assembly considers and votes on resolutions submitted by member districts, which, when approved, become the basis for the association's stance on legislation and related matters of public policy. So is there a board member interested in serving in this role?
If no one else wants to, I will.
That was an enthusiastic yes.
Go Tim.
Enthusiastic yes, and thank you.
I think you
Somebody
might
can
have
help.
that.
So does someone want to
I
move?
will move that the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education appoint Tim Penich as the IASB representative of the Board of Education.
Okay, so do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call for that.
Ann Hill,
Yes.
Laura Breakstone,
Yes.
Lauren Hirsch.
Yes.
Carrie Steinbach, yes. Tim Penich.
Yes.
Amy Connell Donahue.
Yes.
And Andy Duran.
Yes, that motion passes. Tim Penich is our new IASB board representative.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Tim.
Only the free food. Let us know.
All right, 7E is committees with Board of Education representation. We as a board need to discuss which board member will serve on their respective committees. So this is an opportunity, we don't need a formal motion for this, but we should discuss the committee representation. It's in your packet. Should I just quickly read out who's on?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can.
Lisa,
give-
okay,
yeah,
great.
give you a break. So the insurance committee meets a couple of times a year, really no more than 2 or 3 times a year. And we meet as admin representative, board representative, and then LBTC, our union representatives, to get updates on insurance rates, changes to policies, or talk about potential changes to benefits. It's generally speaking a pretty quick meeting and usually after school. Anything else I'm missing about that one?
No.
It has been Mark and Ann. Anyone interested in insurance? Jay makes it a fun meeting.
I'm happy to do it.
Great, thank you. Anyone
Do
else?
you want me to record these, or you got it?
Amy is
Do we
recording. them,
want
yeah.
more than
Yeah,
2
do you need
people?
I'm happy to stay on it, but if
We
somebody
want to
else
keep it
wants
to
take
2
it,
because
that's
then we
fine.
don't have to have an open meeting, so 2 is enough.
We need to get to mine so we can swap. Okay.
Do,
You better
Ann,
not.
are you interested?
I'm
in
happy to
staying?
stay on
Okay,
it,
So we'll
yes.
do Laura and Ann for insurance. Joint shared services is really, used to be bigger, I think, than it is now, but this is kind of boiled down to the potential legislative advocacy work that we've talked about doing.
We never met.
Right, so I don't think a lot happened last year.
That's why it's not as big as it
It's
used
not
to be.
was like,
quite as big a
My
commitment.
name's here.
But there may be a time when the 3 district board reps want to meet together, especially because as we consider potential ways to advocate to the legislature. So if you are interested in that, it has been Andy, Amy, and Carrie.
Is this, did you guys go and do this for that?
We did
And then I
have-
just didn't get in on it, or?
No, we
No, they
don't
did the
know.
policy.
We did the policy committee that was sort of an offshoot of this.
Oh,
And
the
we did do a
legislative.
couple meetings for that, like the Tri-District
For the-
Legislative Committee.
yeah, that's
but we
what it
never
was.
officially had the joint shared
Okay.
services.
I'm happy to stay
Yeah.
because it's pretty easy
Pretty
work.
easy.
I'd go on it if somebody doesn't want to stay on it.
You can have my
but
spot.
I don't want to push anyone off.
You
that
have my spot.
Has strong feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carrie and Lauren, joint shared services, great. Negotiations, also Carrie and Lauren. True North, Amy has been our rep. The True North, this is a leadership council representative. Each district of the 18 districts in the collaborative send 1 board member to the leadership council meetings, which happen once a month. So usually the second Wednesday happens in Highland Park. I also attend those meetings as a regional representative for the North region of True North, which includes Highland Park, Deerfield, Lake Forest District. So there's 3 superintendents in attendance. I'm one. Amy, I know, has been the rep, but we're looking to maybe share that duty. So maybe once every other month you might need to attend. Some months there are no meetings, but essentially True North interests have to do with supporting our students with the most significant needs. It is a pretty amazing group. It's a pretty amazing district. They do a lot of great work. And I think it's great that Amy's been a part of it. I think it is a big commitment because obviously you already attend 2 board meetings a month. So adding another one is tough, but it would be nice to share, I think.
It'd be nice to have even just maybe a backup, because I also have a different board meeting on that night, so I'd like to be able to go to that occasionally. Just think about it.
Is anybody interested in that?
Again, I'm happy to do it.
Laura?
Awesome, Laura.
Awesome. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Okay, Amy and Laura. Policy Committee, as you know, meets as needed. Press usually comes out with a packet 3 or 4 times a year. It has been Ann, Tim, and Carrie. That's technically an open meeting. It gets posted. People can come to the meeting if they'd like. We've done a pretty good job of streamlining the policy procedure. They usually take less than an hour. There've been a couple packets that are more, but whoever is on that committee, we can talk about scheduling the meetings as well. Sometimes admin are in attendance, sometimes not. We try to bring the relevant people together to talk about the policies.
I'm happy to stay on that one.
Same.
I would too as well, unless there's someone dying to be on it. But I would like
Anyone?
to stay.
You guys have done a great job on that committee, so that's great. Stays together.
Thank you.
Extremely fun.
It is fun. We make it fun.
We have a fun.
Yeah. We got candy today.
We did. Thank you.
Visited by the candy cart. Superintendent Evaluation Committee, we haven't necessarily met as a smaller subcommittee on this since my first year when we revamped the process. So typically, I involve the whole board in my evaluation, so right now it's Mark, Ann, and Lauren.
Does it even need to be a committee?
I think it's nice to have it, just in case anything ever comes up.
We've
a
talked about
subcommittee.
doing some small revisions to the process, so it might be, so I'll go on that one
Okay,
and play some Mark if Ann and Lauren
I'm happy
wanna
to stay on that one, too.
okay.
Okay.
Laura, do you want to, or
That's fine. I'm happy to not be involved.
side?
Yeah.
Okay, so Andy, Lauren, Laura for superintendent evaluation. Tech representative, we have had a tech committee in the past. It hasn't been revived since COVID, but we're looking to continue that next year.
I'll stay on this one because I've had no meetings in 4 years, so,
I'll
but I would like to
I
start.
did major in ITs.
So, yeah, Carrie and I will do it.
Excellent, okay. Tri-Board Advisory does meet now. We do meet regularly. It's about once a month. We meet here. It's usually on a Friday at lunch. Lunch is usually provided.
Jumped on the wrong committee.
Yeah, and I think, like, right now, it's really just the elected officials, president of, because Regis attends, you attend, and then the board president for the Park District. It might be nice for you to have an alternate, though.
Yeah, I'm fine to stay on it, but it would be good because there's some.
I'd be happy to be, did you say you wanted to care about? Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Awesome.
As an alternate.
Yeah, they usually only last about an hour. And then Thrive, we anticipate continuing as well. Probably will meet less times, 2 to 3 times a year maybe, as an oversight committee. So Andy and Ann are those folks right now.
I'm fine to stay on that.
Fine to stay on, but I can also if somebody else wants to. Okay.
All right, that is all I have.
Okay, that was painless, thank you. Believe it or not, we're down at number 8, addition of discussion items. So at every board meeting, we offer the opportunity for board members to suggest a discussion item for future agendas. Anything to discuss, to add tonight? Not from the board. I know, Jay, you had one thing, right?
Yeah, for
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's for next night. I will most likely need to amend the school district budget this year to accommodate some capital projects happening this summer that we did not foresee. It was hard to predict the amount of spending that would need to happen prior to June 30th. So in order to meet the legal requirements, I need to post it publicly 30 days prior to the budget hearing, which is June. And they're not 30 days between the May meeting and the June meeting, so I will be posting it between this meeting and the May meeting. I'll present it at the May meeting, and then there'll be a budget hearing in June to approve it. And really, the only change is just the capital projects budget.
Okay.
And the budget hearing is a separate notification as well, right, to the community, or no?
Yeah, it has to be published in the newspaper, and it's a separate meeting at 6:45 prior to the board meeting. It's a whole separate meeting to approve the budget. It's the same process that you used to approve the original budget as the amended budget.
Got it. Thanks, Jay. So that'll be on for the next meeting. Great. Okay, moving on to item 9, discussion and presentations. We'll lead off with information about the Atwood 5th grade field trip. Before Kelly comes up, did you want to?
You can come up and get ready.
Okay.
I just wanted to give a little bit of background. So in the past, Atwood was an overnight trip. It is not more than 100 miles, but I think we had presented it for approval because it was an overnight trip. It is no longer an overnight trip. So I've asked Kelly to give kind of a update on what that trip will look like. And then I don't think from now on we'll do an additional approval or anything. We're not going to bring this to the next meeting. It's just an informational item so that you know, since we also talk about Springfield and Washington, D.C.
Great. So good to see everyone. Happy favorite jersey day. Still rocking mine. We are requesting that our 5th graders attend the Atwood Day Field Trip during the 23-24 school year. This year, we took a similar approach. We had 4 sections of 5th grade, and all 4 sections left the Park District parking lot around 7:30 in the morning, traveled to Atwood, experienced a day trip where they had the opportunity to learn about outdoor living skills. They did some predator-prey experiences. They learned about birds of prey. They learned how to use kind of different things out in nature to build forts and survive. And then they do a nighttime hike and a campfire where they roast marshmallows and sing songs. And then they come home around 9 o'clock in the evening. In addition to those kind of learning components, they're served lunch and dinner. So we felt like the day trip, while they don't have the overnight component, they get a lot of the core learning pieces and elements that Atwood provides that help for team building, building community across 5th graders. As we look ahead to next year, we are going to be increasing to 5 sections, and we'll have around 101 students. It's quite a lot for Atwood to hold for one day. So we would be asking that we separate into 2 days. 3 of the sections would go on October 26th. 2 of the classes or 2 sections would go on October 27th. Again, we'd leave around 7:30, be back around 9 o'clock. I did have the benefit of going this year, and it was my first time, and I really enjoyed it, learned a lot. It's great to just see all of the things that they can provide, the outdoor learning experiences, birds of prey, so it's quite an experience. So that is what we would be hoping for. I think the last part, this year, it was about $83 per student, so that would be for the day of experiences of what Atwood charges and the bus.
And then obviously fee waivers apply to that as well. If
Yes.
students have a hard time paying.
When you split them, will they be at school the day that they're not going?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and so I think they'll just alternate, right? Whatever the group 1 is doing when the other group goes, group 2 will do when group 1 goes. Great question. And we won't split any classes because we do value that community and team building that it does provide.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions?
I have a quick question. I think I missed it. I didn't realize it's changed to a day. Tell me about that. When did we just change it to a day this year?
I think it was an outcome of COVID. And so my understanding as they were opening up again and ready to offer those experiences, the overnight trip was not an option. I don't know that it has become an option. I'm not sure that they've increased that back to that offering again.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Kathleen Turner-Kwok to discuss the extended school year staffing plan.
We're so excited that Kathleen is our ESY principal.
I'm really excited too. Thank you so much. I am really, really excited to talk about our Summer Scholars and Extended School Year program. We are fully staffed. I know in your packet, Amy included the staffing plan. Right now we have about 66 students registered between the Summer Scholars program and Extended School Year. We have 15 teachers on board with 7 one-to-one TAs, and we're really lucky that our multilingual TA also is going to be joining us this summer, so she'll be able to help our students with multilingual needs. We have a counseling support person on staff. We have our speech language person, OT, a secretary, and nurse. So we are really ready to go. We'll have a meeting tomorrow to talk about next steps. And I'm just really excited. Again, we'll be going from June 12th to June 30th with no school on June 19th. Are there any questions?
I think so. Pretty clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Dr. Lealy, it's up to you to talk about Allerton Hill.
Okay, so as discussed in my observation or evaluation conference with Andy and Ann, I did receive a little bit of feedback from the board on communication. We also did have a little bit of discussion about communication at the strategic planning meetings. The strategic plan conversation was more around individual teachers expressing to parents about student performance. So communicating more about their child and how they're doing in class and sending home more work samples. This communication, maybe from on my evaluation, had more to do with bigger picture communication and how effective we're being at getting folks to participate in things and making sure that people are aware of all the opportunities and opportunities for engagement, opportunities for voicing opinions, those kinds of things, and just making sure that we're doing everything we can to engage with our parents and community. So I have reached out to a couple of different places. Allerton Hill is the contract I'm bringing you tonight. They work with some area districts. This is a firm that specializes in educational communication. One of the things that I like about this firm is that in retaining them, you retain more than just one person. So you have a person that's connected to the district that learns a lot about you and your culture and helps build that brand and look at that blueprint for communication. But you also have access to a lot of other experts, experts that are really more versed in branding or more versed in crisis communication or more versed in political communication or anything that's happening political in the community. So they employ a variety of people with a variety of expertise, which is attractive to me. One of the things when I was talking to them was, I'm not sure that we know exactly the most effective forms of communication for our community at this point. I don't know that it's more emails that is gonna yield more or better results. I'm not sure if it's texting. I'm not sure if it's more things in mailboxes. But what they would do is help us and they would conduct an audit with us to kind of look at the landscape, help us with a survey if we wanted to, do some focus groups if we want to go that deep to try to figure out what the community is responding to, what parents are responding to, and then help us build that blueprint for communication. They would be able to help us with website content, newsletters, regular communications like our tri-district newsletter, those kinds of things, and pulling it together. For history's sake, when I got here, we did have an arrangement with a different firm that we didn't wind up using much during COVID, but the district had used in the past for bigger issues or bigger areas where communication needed to be supported at the district level. We have also employed in the past a person and shared with other entities. Both of those situations would have cost us more than what this would cost us in a yearly contract. This arrangement has a 30-day out clause, so we aren't signing for any length of time. If we want to, all we need to do is discontinue services, and it's 30 days notice for them. I would say that most districts at this point are either utilizing this kind of support or have somebody on staff that is helping with communication. There's just so many ways that we communicate now, and it's very difficult for one person on the team to manage all of that and be watching all of it and responding if necessary or being proactive if necessary. And the other piece is just right now, it's really important, especially as we're pulling together our strategic plan, deciding on how that's going to look, the look of it, how we want to communicate it, how we want to get it out to the community, and then following up and communicating with the community on that. I think this is a good opportunity to have somebody get to know us so that if we do get in a situation that's unfortunate and we need more immediate support, we have a place that knows us well enough and has helped us with other publicity and communication that can help us craft a response that seems right for the district. But happy to answer any questions. We're not voting on anything tonight.
I just had a question about, I think you just cleared it up, but I want to clarify. Because it says in here that the terms of the contract are that it would be effective from 1 year to the following year. But that just means it automatically renews unless we cancel it with a 30-day.
Yeah.
So it's not that we'd be entering into a 12-month contract.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
And it's $5,000 per month,
Yes.
according to this.
And it's the months that we use out of that year?
No, it's a retainer.
Oh, okay.
So there would probably be some standing work every month that would be done, and then special projects. The question I asked was, what is outside the scope of the retainer? And they really couldn't come up with much. One example was like, if you wanted them to build a website, that's not something they do, but they would connect us with somebody that would, and then that person would charge for building the website, but they would not. They would just connect us with somebody, and then we'd have to pay somebody else to do that work.
But would they work with that?
Yeah, they would work with that person to help with the content. The other example they had was a large high school district that had a lot of choice programs and classes where they went and interviewed kids and shot footage and made like advertisement type videos for every program or every option that kids had. That was above and beyond, but really they said it wound up just being a few hours that they went above and beyond that. But they really, took them a few minutes to think of anything that they've charged people for outside of the retainer.
Am I wrong to think that it feels like it's PR a little bit?
No,
Like-
you're not wrong.
Okay.
There's a little bit of that. Branding is a thing, that we should be consistent in, thinking about our middle school gym and the mascot that we're trying to get updated to our actual mascot. That's one of those things that we want to do, just have a consistent image, a consistent brand. I don't know if you've been to the middle school gym.
It looks nothing like the actual logo.
It's a very
Art is in the eye
personalized
of the
approach. But even in our communications, just parents at this point, there's a lot of communications that are coming at parents, So if we can make our communications consistent, then we're going to draw attention to the things that go together, if that makes sense. The emails that go together, the posts that go together, to have that consistent look helps with people knowing what they're opening and knowing what they're looking at. That would be helpful. So, and then again, just kind of surveying the landscape and making sure we're communicating in the right channels and keeping that positive information coming out in
I
a
like
consistent
the
way.
timing with the strategic plan and the new mission, vision, motto. Like, to me, it makes sense. So.
For the retainer, is it, because we're a smaller district?
No, that's how they operate with everyone.
Okay, so everybody, same, okay.
Yep.
And do they give you like an end of month update on all the things that what they've contributed that month?
So we would
have-
structure
Okay,
the work together after that first initial meeting. So they want to meet with our administrative team, they want to meet with our administrative support staff to kind of look at what the scope of the work would be, and then we would lay out that scope and sequence to say, these are the things that need to be done every month, these things will be looked at triannually, this is what a project is that we need to do now, and then we could structure if we wanted to have like an end of the month report, what happened, what was accomplished, what wasn't accomplished. I know just from personal experience that those direct connections between the district and the Allerton Hill are in pretty much constant contact with
okay.
the superintendent or other members of the administrative
And
team.
did you say you think they can help with the survey and engage? Okay.
Yeah, that's up to us, the scope that we want, and, to be, in all honesty, I wasn't sure how big we would want to go with a communications audit. Our community has participated in a lot of surveys and a lot of feedback sharing, so that could be something that we want to do. Maybe we want to start and see for a while and then conduct it once we get into the fall or people are starting to get communications. We can look at the timeline for that and talk about how we want to gather that information. If it's just a survey, or like I said, they'll do focus groups. How deep we want to go is up to us.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm in favor of this idea overall. A lot of feedback that I hear is, just so many emails, or don't send me any more surveys, all these types of things. So having somebody who knows how to target and really communicate directly, I think is benefit to the district, particularly with the timing of the strategic plan and everything. I do feel more comfortable knowing that it's a month-to-month type thing, because it seemed like a lot of money to commit to if we weren't sure of the results.
Yep, I agree.
So that's.
Well, to
where I'm at.
piggyback that, is this a relationship that you anticipate lasting year on net, like year after year? Or, is it typical to go, have them help for 2 years and then kind of we go on our own?
I don't know if there's a typical arrangement for districts. I'm anticipating that we would want to build a relationship for a good length of time. I can tell you that we had an incident my first year or second year where I reached out to a communications firm and there wasn't much they could do to help because they hadn't been involved with the district for a while. So it took them a while to even like survey the landscape, to look at everything and make a recommendation, but even the recommendation wasn't really spot on. It wasn't gonna fit for us. So I think the preference for me is to build a relationship and see what happens. I also like the idea that if it's not working, we can just say this isn't working. There's pros and cons to having somebody in-house and somebody not in-house. I mean, the not in-house is you have a variety of experts and those people are there to do that work for you. Somebody in-house is preferable for other reasons. They get to know people and they're on site, they're taking pictures, they're doing all the stuff. So there's definitely a different level of involvement from our team when we're feeding information to somebody that's not on staff, right? As opposed to having somebody on staff doing all that work. It would probably cost about the same. But I feel like this kind of arrangement, like I said, there's an easy out. They have lots of experts. We definitely have a need right now to do some framing of the strategic plan and to build that out into something that we can show to the community and that we can have, you know, in our rooms and our buildings, because we do want this to be a big part of what we do in the next 3 to 5 years, and making that visually appealing and organizing in a way that makes sense is something that we need.
Just the one question I have, I'm fully in support of this as well. There's some areas where it lists the comprehensive components and where it'll be really specific in terms of they'll draft communication pieces or conduct regular consulting meetings. There's other places where it just says we'll work with the district to create newsletters, we'll work with the school to develop video. Question I would have for them is what part of that they're actually are they actually creating a video and creating newsletters, or are they just guiding us to doing that and we don't have the person to do that? So
in my conversations, it's what we need. So for
Okay.
example, I don't want anybody writing my communications.
Sure.
So I've already said, like, that's something I feel comfortable doing, but we may have other aspects of like I also write our tri-board newsletter. I don't feel as comfortable doing that. That's a different thing. So I would like somebody else to have an eye on that and to make it flow better and to make sure we're representing well. I think there are other opportunities. Obviously, we've launched this community email. I was able to send the strategic plan community emails, get them the surveys and things, but like we haven't really thought forward as to what that communication could or should look like out to the community, how often it should be given, what kind of information should be included. That's something I think they can help us with. So the short answer is whatever we want it to be.
Okay, great.
I'm in support of this as well. My two things is like just based off of COVID, like another crisis could come that we would really be able to utilize somebody for that. And then the other thing I was going to say that I completely forgot. Oh, would you be using it internally as well? So not just to
Yeah,
the
they'll do
community?
staff communications as well if we need them to.
I feel better having heard, I was a little turned off by the proposal and had concerns with the price, and it seemed, I don't know, when I saw newsletter and videos, I was worried about things being extravagant. You know, I don't think that's something our community would necessarily want us to be spending a lot of money on. But hearing your explanation of what they would actually do makes me feel more comfortable with it, and the 30-day out is nice. And just to confirm, they're from Ohio, but their travel costs are all included
All
in the
included.
5,000.
Yep. And the person that we would be working with is Gia. Gia's out here a lot because she works with a lot of districts in this area. So I've already met personally with her a couple of times at different events. And she lives actually in Florida. So like they come from, so the company is there, but the consultants come from everywhere and they're just expected to kind of be where they need to be. And they make regular visits, you know, on site. And
So it wouldn't be just someone who are shooting, here's some pictures, put this on our like Facebook page, and like they would have an idea of what our district is. And
yep, and like I said, one of the first things they've said is like, we really want to get to know your team. what does your team need? What support are they looking for? Where are the problem areas? What are the obstacles? Where are we not getting the responses? So there's going to be some focus grouping internally, and then we would just need to think more about how we want to engage the community and parents on that conversation. And then obviously staff too, whether or not they're getting the information they need and if it's too much and those kinds of things.
So is your plan that we would vote on this later this month and then activate it?
Ideally.
June? Okay. Any other questions or comments?
But please send me more comments or thoughts.
Oh, my one question was, you had mentioned that there are other companies, so you've kind of looked into other people that may or may not do this, and this was what you considered low-end cost?
The cost is pretty similar.
Okay.
It's not really cost that I was looking at,
Okay.
because the cost is pretty standard.
Same across. Okay.
And like I said, if this doesn't work out, there's other places that we can go and try. The district had an arrangement with a different company that I had reached out to before for another incident. And like I said, that we hadn't built a relationship. I've had an opportunity to work with these folks a little bit more. So, and I've talked to other superintendents that utilize them as references. So, all good questions.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. All right, next is the proclamation for Teacher Appreciation Week. Lauren?
And Lauren's reading it, but I just want to say thank you to Lauren.
Yes.
And all the work that you've done with the PTO to really make sure that our staff feel appreciated. I mean, everybody feels
My
appreciated.
favorite week of the
Amazing.
school year. This proclamation states, whereas educators mold future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas educators encounter students of widely differing backgrounds, and whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas educators spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service, and whereas our community recognizes and supports its educators in educating and making a difference in the lives of the children of the Lake Bluff community, now therefore be it resolved that May 8th to the 12th, 2023 be proclaimed Teacher Appreciation Week, a time to recognize and thank our educators who illuminate our vision, excellence in education, enthusiasm for life, every student, every day.
All right.
As an update, we kicked off Teacher Appreciation Week on Friday, which was actually technically May 5th. All of our educators got a copy of the proclamation and a pin, which was designed by our Unity group at Lake Bluff Middle School. So we turned it into our pin, and so now every teacher has this on their lanyard. We had a great day. Tracy's going to update us on a staff wellness event that we had at the next board meeting. This week has been an awesome week. I would be remiss if I just didn't say we have a tremendous team of educators in Lake Bluff District 65, and I know you know it. And I forward emails when I get them from parents. But truly, we have some really amazing folks that are dedicated to each and every student in this district, and we're just very lucky to have them.
Anything else? Okay. Let's keep it with you for the strategic plan update.
Okay, we don't, oh, can you have me share screen? We don't have any outside members of our strategic plan team, but we do have our administrators here. And I am going to go ahead and do a brief, very brief overview of, wait, are you sharing or am I sharing?
You're sharing.
Am I sharing?
Yes, but.
Okay, I lied. I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Brief overview of the whole thing. So I'm going to move pretty quickly, just in case nobody's been paying attention about what we've been doing with strategic plan. So as you know, this has been a process. Strategic planning is the foundation of continuous improvement. And really what we addressed were our mission, vision, and core values. The mission, again, is what is our fundamental purpose? Why are we existing? Our vision is our North Star. What are we trying to achieve? Goals are how we're going to measure that achievement, and the values are how we are going to behave in order to achieve those outcomes. As you know, we had a strategic planning team. We met for 3 7-hour retreats. And then this We are right now in the gray arrow of moving that work from the strategic planning team onto our district strategy teams that'll do the action planning and monitoring. These are the questions we were answering. Where are we now? Where do we want to be? And how do we know when we get there? Really, we were trying to figure out how are we going to look different? How are we going to address the challenges we have differently? We were not trying to create a pretty plan. We were trying to create a plan that would really ultimately impact what we're doing for students. We want it to be a living plan. We want it to be a plan that everyone sees. When we talk about, communicating the plan, that's part of what we're talking about. We want it to be out and around and living. So we did start with our current plan. We built off of that. We had, here's our schedule of meetings, and we had a very good representative group, a third staff certified and classified staff, a third administration or management, and then a third parents and community. And as you remember, board members were involved in the last retreat as well. So steps in the process, just as a reminder, we had our environmental scan where we looked at data. We did our data retreat and SWOT analysis. We did our engagement surveys, our visioning retreat where we drafted, and then we did another survey, right? And then, so we had this plan or the system broken out where we had ways to collect feedback in between. This was our SWOT analysis where we considered our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. As a board, you had an opportunity to weigh in on that. We had 3 members of our administrative team presenting data for 5 long hours during that day. It was riveting stuff. We analyzed perception data from the community. We looked at Thrive data, student achievement, student growth data. We looked at HumanX, culture and climate data. And then we drafted our SWOT analyses. This is our team. You're going to see lots of pictures of them. They're amazing. This was our final draft, our draft SWOT analysis. Then that was sent out to the community as well for feedback. We did our visioning retreat. We looked at this survey from our SWOT analysis. We went through this. We looked at things that should be included that weren't, things that were included that shouldn't be. How do we want to look differently? Okay, and we started working on our vision. So the vision is where we want to be, different than where we are today. We had lots of brainstorming. Here's more pictures of us. I hope you're not getting dizzy.
I am actually.
It was awesome. Each table developed visionary ideas based off of the information that we had done in terms of homework. So as you remember, the strategic plan team had to do homework. We read articles, we looked at websites, and then we talked about what we thought were things that we needed to work on anyway. Okay. Our vision is our North Star. We already had our learner portrait. That was from our work with the other 2 districts in Lake Forest, so we had to do the other pieces. We started with our current mission, and we tried to evaluate, hold on, what does this one say? Our core values. Oh, and then we started looking at our core values and beliefs on how we get to that. Are we really living the mission that we say that we are? Okay, I'm going to skip through some of these. As you remember, our portrait of a learner. This is an anchor of our plan. So when we communicate this plan, we felt as a strategic plan team that it was really important that we maintain all 3 districts on this portion of the plan, that this doesn't just morph into our portrait of a learner, but that we keep this as a collaborative effort between the 3 districts. We talked about then the adult portrait, or what we want adults working with students doing. Our system portrait, which would be the lens in which we look at all of our systems and processes. And we did our voting, and we determined our big topics. And as you know, we came out with our draft statement that we sent out to the community and also looked at with you. We had another retreat. You guys were involved in that, which was the setting direction retreat. We looked at our data from that draft plan. We looked at our long-range goals and refined those. Let me move forward on this. We talked about indicators and measures, but that, as you know, also is not included in the plan that you're going to be talking about tonight or that you will be approving next meeting because we decided to wait on those, but we have lots of information that can inform our next steps. Let me keep going. We also talked about some strategies. Again, not included in the plan. Sometimes they're included. They're not included here because those are things we're going to talk about later. So we came up with our draft plan that we sent out, and we had one more final meeting. So this is where we reviewed the stakeholder feedback on that final plan. These were the 3 questions we asked everyone to weigh in on. Which motto, because as you know, we had 2 mottos that we sent out, and then indicate parts of the plan that people felt were confusing and any other feedback that they would like. So this was our survey, our last survey, 261 responses. It was the lowest of the 3 in terms of responses, but at the same time, we had asked a lot of times about this information. We also had some pretty big events during the 2nd and 3rd that we got more people for the musical and things like that. But overall, still pretty good representation. This is where the motto conversation ended up. In terms of if we're calling it a vote, that's what we got in terms of support. The confusing aspects, really the top was the system portrait, and I think all the portraits were a little confusing without the background of like, what are we gonna use those for? And that's something that we will flesh out when we communicate the entire plan. And then there was some feedback, which the team got together and made some proposed changes based on the feedback. So the draft that we're talking about tonight is actually a little bit different than any of the drafts that you've seen so far. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to that draft now. Hold on.
Is that where you emailed?
That is the one I emailed, yep, and it is in the packet. Hold on. Oh, yes, it is what I want. Okay. So these are our preferred future statements. The draft mission that we're bringing to you tonight, again, what we do and how we do it, is to ensure academic achievement and personal growth for all students through innovative and engaging educational opportunities. The core values we settled on: equity, empathy, growth mindset, joy, kindness, perseverance, resilience, respect, and responsibility. The vision, this one adjusted based on your feedback, as well as some of the groups kind of feeling like the last one just didn't sit well with everyone. We tried for a bigger goal: an inclusive community of motivated learners who are inspired to change the world through exploration and collaboration. So that is where we settled on the vision. The motto, as you know, I asked you to give your input, and it came out split again. So there was a slight preference for our previous vision. And so I think overall, this is nice connective tissue between the 2 strategic plans. I think it has become sort of a part of our meetings and what we talk about and think about. What I would suggest is that when we flesh this out, that we talk a little bit more about what we mean by excellence, and then give some context around that, because even in the Portrait of a Learner discussion and the strategic plan, the concept of excellence felt tough given the environment that we sometimes create around our kids in terms of high expectations and performance. So I think we can work to define that in a way that makes sense for us and provide that background. One amazing thing that came out of this last session was that one of our groups decided there was a missing portrait in there, and that was the classroom portrait. So we had included learner portrait, which is what we want our students to do, adult portrait, which is what we want our adults to do, but the classroom portrait sort of brings those 2 things together of how the adults and students will work together to create those environments for learning, and then the system portrait being bigger. So the learner portrait you're familiar with. We changed adult portrait. We added the wording: a District 65 employee/supporter would be a clear communicator, a critical thinker, accountable, collaborative, creative, enthusiastic, invested, reflective, and trustworthy. And then our classroom community words: active, curious, engaged, enriching, focused, inclusive, innovative, and student-led. And then as a system, we will be adaptable, collaborative, community-centered, informed, purposeful, respectful, student-focused, and supportive. And then finally, our goals stay in the same big 5 buckets. There was some wording on this a little bit, but for the most part, these stayed pretty similar to what you saw last time. The big changes are between student achievement and learning environment. We wanted to create a connection between those 2 things. In the student achievement goal, the last time, it was really focused on academic achievement, and the learning environment was focused more on social emotional learning. And the feedback we got was that they should both be about both. So we added, as you can see, ensure every child has what they need to progress academically, achieve their goals, maintain their well-being, and develop their interests for our student achievement goal. And then for the learning environment, establish and maintain safe, positive, rigorous, and engaging learning environments to meet the social, emotional, and academic needs of each student. So those are the big changes. And the other 3 goals really didn't change that much. Aside from the fiscal responsibility goal, we moved human to be closer to resources because it was in the beginning and the kids were like, that makes no sense. So they were thinking align humans, like put the humans in lines. So we took that feedback and we said it makes more sense if we say financial, physical, and human resources. It was good feedback. And then, as you know, our task forces will work on KPIs and strategies to achieve these goals. And with that, I'm opening it up for discussion. Not quite done yet.
I just wanted to point out, like, we all just took that oath, and did you hear the words that, I mean, not like that, but the words that were in there are very much in here.
Yes.
So I guess earlier on when I was trying to say like what all this means for the board and how we use it going forward was basically in our oath. That's exactly like our job description. So I like that it's back in here.
The consistency.
Huh?
You like
Yeah.
the consistency? Yeah.
I really like the addition of the classroom portrait. I think that's great. I don't know if, I think it'd be nice to have something about a classroom being fun, but that seems, but sorry, we're past that. That's something that seemed to be missing.
Yeah.
Well, fun connects with joy. And we did get some feedback. A couple folks were like, joy is a tough, I think a couple people said, where is joy in the rest of the plan? I think we tried to not be redundant, but some things ended up in multiple places. So I am not opposed to fun classrooms. We can certainly add it.
And how this is presented with everything like motto and the little like definition, particularly for the portraits, that's very helpful in understanding it, because I wasn't entirely clear what the system portrait was or before, so it's nice to just have the quick little snippet to help people understand.
That's helpful.
Let's talk about excellence. What are we concerned about with the word excellence?
So it came up at the wellness thing too, interestingly, the community wellness event, and it came up during the portrait conversation that I have to try to put this, like in high expectation communities, excellence can become something that is more of a threat than an opportunity.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good way to put it.
And whether or not kids are measuring them against a standard that's unattainable.
And anything besides that is failure. That's
Right.
how what students are reporting, I think, and them perceiving that word means.
I will say though, Mark said this in the last meeting, like if we don't have something that is unattainable, then what are we trying to accomplish? And I do feel like it's okay to put it out there. In a sense, we all have a different definition what excellence is. Like an excellent day to me is something different than it is to you, and so on and so forth. So if that could be educated to the kids, like excellence is different for every person. It might be, we don't do letter grades, but so back in the day, if you were C's could be excellent for you. It doesn't mean you have to have A's. It's what works
Yeah, I mean,
for
I
your
think
learner.
we can unpack this in lots of different ways. I mean, when I was looking at the vision that we've been working with, excellence in education doesn't necessarily for me mean excellence, student excellence. It actually, for me, means that we provide a system of education that is excellent for students.
That's how I read it too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think we just need to be explicit about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And there is a connection in the goal, staff and educator excellence, and I think that's what we're talking about. We want the people surrounding our kids to be excellent in their practice. and to continuously improve, knowing that we're going to continue to give grace and give room for people to improve and keep learning, but that we're striving for that team of people for every child. That's excellent. And knowing what they need and doing what they need. So I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think the way it's phrased here puts that excellence back on the adults, I think, off the kids, and I think that's appropriate. Yeah.
I think it could be said either way though too, like all that pressure on the adults, it might be much. So like, in my opinion, I don't think it's pressure, but like we all take it differently. So as long as it's just communicated, which it is, and spread out, I like it in there.
What's meant by a supporter? Like, is that?
Okay, we had a lot of discussion about supporter. So we had employee/volunteer, but then we thought not everyone who's like involved with the district is volunteering necessarily. But we have a lot of people that are supporters of the district and our students that don't necessarily regularly interact with us. But the idea is that anybody who does support our district will interact with our students in this way, so that we can support their achievement. But I think we would be open to other suggestions. This one was, we were like,
I didn't know, like,
Yeah.
adult community member is like strange too, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, technically, everybody in the district financially supports,
that's true.
so.
Yeah, that's,
I would also like to, as a next step, before we communicate this out to the community, make connections between our village strategic plan and our core commitments and beliefs as a village to what we've said we want for our kids too. There's gonna be a lot of alignment there. And I just think as we exist in the village, as part of that piece, I think it's important to draw those connections because those are expectations we have for our community, and then certainly we have those for our students and parents and supporters.
I agree. That makes sense.
Any other thoughts or feedback?
Just thanks to everyone for the hard work, admins, you, the committee, Amy. I mean, it was a ton of effort on a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. I mean, hours and hours and hours spent in person, but also the work that was done in between too. So thanks to everybody for getting to this final product, or nearly final product.
I think we're really excited to move forward with fleshing it out and creating those benchmarks and performance indicators, so. Okay, well, if you have any other thoughts between now and the next meeting, please let us know.
The only, and you may have said up there, I just didn't recall, the only other question I have is what the time frame is on coming up with the KPIs and indicators.
We'll start working as soon as it's approved,
Okay.
hopefully by the fall.
Okay. Great. All right then.
Which is
Any other questions or comments? Okay, our final three items are going to be Jay. So Jay, happy to just have you go straight down the list.
So the first is the approval of a new engagement letter with our current auditors, another 2-year engagement. We've had them, they've audited our financial statements for 8 years. They do a great job. They're a very well-respected firm, and I'd like to continue with using them. There is a fairly significant price increase from the last engagement letter. They've been experiencing labor shortages, and it's very hard to find accountants. Firms are stealing them from each other. It's kind of like what school districts are doing. I did, however, corner our auditor at the conference I was at last week and got him to knock $2,000 off of the price.
Great.
Wasn't able to update this yet, so it actually is $35,375, which is a 7% increase instead of a 14% increase.
That's great.
And then another 5% going from 22 to 23. So that price will be updated in the letter that you approve in the next meeting.
That pays for 40% of the
That's right.
retainer
What did you sell?
of. Nice.
I just,
grab a hard bargain.
we're just such an easy audit that.
That's right, financial excellence.
Awesome.
And then
Don't feel
also we'd
pressured
like
by
to.
that, Jay.
Right.
Yeah. We'd like to renew our night custodial contract. We have, this would be the last extension. We went out to bid for this contract in 2019, And we had the option of 4 one-year extensions at our discretion. They've done a great job. We're very happy with the service. The contract contains a maximum increase of 3%. It's based on CPI with a cap of 3, so this would be a 3% increase, which these days is a great deal. And we'd like to extend for 1 more year, and then we'd go out to bid for the following year. So that price for that is in the contract, it'd be $303,000 for the year. And then the last approval is for the hazardous routes, the hazardous route resolution for next year. Every year, the board determines what constitutes a serious safety hazard in accordance with guidelines established by the Illinois Department of Transportation. And so we bring them to you, and you approve them annually. This does not have a big practical impact to the district. Some districts, based on the type of districts, are required to provide transportation, and the areas to which they need to provide transportation and the availability of state funding depends on the designation of some of these hazardous areas. We look at each area in Lake Bluff, and then there's a rubric that's used based on traffic flow, speed of traffic, how close people can have to walk to the street, if there's sidewalks, things like that. And then there's a point system that determines whether or not it's hazardous. So there's 3 hazards that were identified a long time ago, and these remain in our district.
Okay. Any questions or comments about any of those? These will all be for approval at the 23rd.
Yes.
I had asked a question that I thought everybody might, maybe it was just me. I asked, what is this again? Because I was very confused. Year 2, still slightly am, but I think I'm figuring it out. We can find all of this information on IDOT, you said, like any intersection in Lake Bluff.
If you go into IDOT, it has the traffic, it has the average speed of traffic and the average number of cars per hour by time of day.
Got it. So you can figure out if you think you're in a hazardous area.
Right. And actually, there's a whole, I'm not logged in, but I do, there's a whole 32-page manual on how to calculate this.
Started going into it, actually. I didn't get very far.
Okay, so I can send it to you
We shall talk.
if you'd like to read it sometime.
But I also thought something that you said earlier today was interesting about it, is that we did do another audit in 2019, 2018.
Yes.
And so even though the dates go back to the 80s,
Correct. These conditions still exist, and we do look at it annually to make sure that those conditions still exist. And if it's easier to look at existing hazards than it is to find new ones. So if people think there are hazards in the community and they want us to evaluate them, we have the rubric by which to do it.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Final questions or comments for Jay? Okay. So again, we'll have those for approval on the 23rd. Okay, moving on to the final 2 items here. Last opportunity for public comment. I'd go through my preamble, but there's no one in the room. It's a member of the public, so anybody at home?
No.
Okay, just know if you're watching at home, you can always come make public comment at a board meeting. Then, with that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn the May 9th, 2023 Reorganization Board of Education meeting at 8:09 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Congratulations.